Test. Okay. The board met tonight in executive session. We're ready to start the regular portion of our meeting. Let me just find my page here so we can start the regular portion of our meeting. We only had one written communication to the full board since our last meeting, which was June 11th, which seems like a long time ago now. And that communication was on the subject of our aftercare, before care, aftercare program and the provider. And so there were some concerns there. They are being addressed by the superintendent and by Mrs. Murphy. The president's report. Our thoughts and prayers, as I'm sure yours are with the family of Montclair Superintendent Jonathan Pons, who died unexpectedly on July 12th. Those of us who've met Dr. Pons, and for those who knew him well, it's a huge loss to the Montclair community and to the education world in New Jersey. Last night, the Montclair BOE hired Damon Cooper, who is currently the Director of Secondary Education in Montclair, as interim superintendent. He is the one that made the announcement of Dr. Pons' death. He will be the interim, presumably, until they are able to find a permanent superintendent. So I did reach out to Dr. Cooper and also the president of the Montclair Board of Education with our condolences, offers of any help that they need. And I got back a nice note from their Board of Ed president. So please keep Dr. Pons, and he had 3 young sons, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And the legislature is out of session right now, thankfully, so they aren't coming up with strange ideas for education. But the New Jersey Task Force on Teacher Evaluations is currently meeting. That is something that was mandated by legislation that was passed this past spring. They are looking, the objective is to look at the way educators, both teachers and administrators, are evaluated currently. In the current system is about 13 years old. So in the evolution of all things educational, it's time for a look at the whole system. And the task force recommendations are due September 30th. Any changes that might be recommended will be dependent on the passage of either legislation or changes in regulations. So it will take a little bit of time, but this is a good deal of forward momentum on teacher evaluations. And that is the president's report. Superintendent's report with our first superintendent's report by our new superintendent, Mr. Arlington.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Kyle.
Thanks. Good evening. I'm excited to be here tonight for my first Glen Ridge Board of Ed meeting. Given the inaugural nature of the event, I want to leverage this opportunity to introduce myself and share where I am in my transition into the Glen Ridge school community. To do this, I thought it might make sense to reshare some of the sentiments I expressed the night of my April 9th appointment. So, with full disclosure, if some of the language sounds familiar, it should. I'm deeply honored and humbled to serve as Glen Ridge's superintendent of schools. Becoming part of this vibrant community and contributing to the legacy of educational excellence within our district is an opportunity I take on with great enthusiasm and responsibility. Know that I appreciate the kindness of so many people who have reached out to welcome me and who shared more about the culture that makes our district unique. I take seriously the job of listening and learning from the wealth of experiences that our teachers, students, parents, and community members bring to the table. I premise the work of transitioning to the role by using an admiring lens and focusing on what's working. But through that process, I also remain committed to moving us forward in new ways, in innovative ways, and in ways that continue to keep us performing at high levels. To shepherd this work, I'm excited to bring a fresh perspective and my professional brand of energy to sustain tradition, but also fissure space for new advancements and future-ready practices. In my introductory correspondence I sent to the community at the top of the month, I shared a little bit about my professional experiences and track record with some of this type of work. I appreciate those who reached out to me after reviewing that information, and to those who haven't yet had an opportunity to take a look, I hope you take a few minutes to check it out. It's posted on our website, which I should mention is under construction. There you'll find more background on my professional biography, the guiding principles of teaching and learning I live by, and the values I embrace as part of my leadership practice. I've also included a bit about my life outside of school, which I hope paints the portrait of who I am, not only as a school leader, but as a father and educational researcher too. I believe it's not so much that we each have multiple identities, but rather we're one person with many sides, some of which show up more fully than others depending on the space we're in and the context we find ourselves. I hope my introductory information makes that point and shares my many sides. Know that I'm currently looking forward to building on these initial introductions in the fall. I'm currently organizing a series of opportunities, currently thinking through that I hope will provide a few different chances for us to meet and engage in some thought partnership. These opportunities may include things like meet and greets, and I'll be sure to message out the details of these events later in the summer. But beyond using these gatherings as chances to meet those who make up the community, I hope to enact these guiding principles that I've been carrying with me so far as I've engaged in listening tours and landscape assessments already. The principles include developing my leadership presence in Glen Ridge, identifying cultural norms, building connections, and finding the transition break-even point. So that's the point I'm defining as consuming as much information as I am contributing to the advancement of the district. So my goal isn't to act quickly, but to find this break-even point quickly. I think finding that point comes more easily through a process. So I've structured my transition around 3 phases. I'm not sure each is mutually exclusive and finite. Instead, I think the boundaries and borders are flexible. But currently, I'm in the process of scheduling and having conversations and reviewing all the possible written information I can. More specifically, as you'll see here, I'm working my way through conversations with the various people listed to ensure as many varied voices are able to share their experiences, hopes, and goals, as well as their frustration points or challenges. And while I've been letting the conversations go where they take me and take me where they go, I've been using this framework as a general guide to ensure some degree of consistency. I hope that they don't feel entirely scripted, but I do hope that in sticking to this framework, at least loosely, I provide an opportunity to find themes, trends, and patterns across conversations. And more importantly, create an environment where everyone's contributions are valued as part of an all-important mix. Studying documents, I don't think is traditionally what one thinks of when they think of beach reading or summer reading. Nonetheless, my review of things like our diversity, equity, and inclusion report and special ed audit have been illuminating. These documents have what I'm calling thing power. That is, they have agency and the ability to act upon us to cause some effect. So it's been useful to review documents like district and board goals and take up the thing power they produce, along with holding them up against the takeaways from my individual and group conversations. For example, one person with whom I met said it would be helpful beyond updates and progress reports to have a more detailed understanding of how any given list of updates puzzle into the bigger picture of who we are as a district. That's something I've been thinking more about, and one example of an outcome from one of these conversations that may have a very specific deliverable attached to it. In closing, I hope every few months or so that I'm able to revisit for the board and the community at large where I am in this transition process. I think sharing this information will be useful to help build momentum and also assuage anxieties around transition. I recognize that there's a certain degree of excitement that swirls around transitions, but I also recognize that it can be destabilizing for some. The fact that I'm in transition means others, either in big or small ways or both, are in transition too. You have my word that I will keep that in mind as I lead with an effort to build mutual respect and keep kids first. I will be sure to post this presentation on our website. I know that I invite questions or feedback and look forward to meeting soon. That concludes my report.
Okay. All right, we've now reached the public comment, great segue. We've reached the public comment period for questions or comments on agenda items only. For those of you, you probably all know our procedures, but just in case, if you have a question or comment, step up to the lectern, sign in, affirm your Glen Ridge residence. You will have 2 minutes to speak. If you have something written that you can give us, please give it to Mrs. Murphy for the record. If you are affiliated with a group, please let us know what that is. So does anybody have a question or comment? And I believe that my friend Kristen will keep time. Will you keep time? Yes. The quiet of summer. All right, well, if you have second thoughts or third thoughts, we have another public comment period at the end of the meeting, so you're welcome to step up then. Let's move on. It is the first and only meeting of the month, but I am well aware that most of our committees have not met, so let's go around the circle and see if we've had some committee meetings and what is timely. So Heather, let's start with you.
The curriculum committee hasn't met since I last reported out in June.
Okay. Next, Paris, anything?
Central Home and School? Yep.
Okay. David, anything?
No, we're trying to schedule committee meetings for personnel and policy and finance and facilities before the retreat or potentially after the retreat.
Yes.
And the negotiations committee did meet on July 15th, to address an issue with the contract. And given the confidential of the nature of the committee's work, the further discussion can't be shared in public. And just also a brief announcement on GRACE, the Glen Association for Special Education. That group, the leaders of that group are meeting tomorrow evening, and there's going to be discussion around how we can promote the organization to recruit additional volunteers. And so just know that if you are interested in being involved with GRACE, attending future GRACE meetings, that you should reach out to the GRACE leaders through the link on the Student Services website to express that interest.
And my liaison assignment, the Diversity Association has not met, but in keeping with our board goals, we have periodic meetings with officials from the borough. So we have just set up our next meeting for August 1st. It will be Jocelyn, Kristen, me, Mr. Arlington, and Mayor Debbie Manns, 2 members of the council, and Borough Administrator Mike Sicali. So both the all the ideas will be in the room, the visionary ideas, the operational ideas, and everything in between. So we are looking forward to that. We've had some very productive conversations so far, found many points of commonality with our friends from the borough. So it is a great development. It's the great working out of a board goal. And that's all for me. Kristen.
I don't have the details for gas lamp with me, but I can say that I do know that they have a very robust and active summer program. So if you are interested in programs and that they are running and any shows that they have coming up, please check out their website. And I have not had a chance to check in with the visual arts since school ended.
Okay. And I should say, normally in this space, we would have a report from our student representative, but as our 2 student representatives graduated in June, and we have not yet started school again, we're temporarily without a student representative, but we will have one again probably in September. All right, we have our business items. We have several administrative items. Jocelyn, would you move those?
Shall I move the minutes first?
I'm sorry. Yes.
So moving M1.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes, by the way?
For May 14th and June 11th.
Yes.
Second?
Second from David. So no changes? Okay, Barbara, would you call the roll for the minutes?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Denard,
Yes.
Ms. Gottlieb,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now, Jocelyn, would you move the administrative items?
Yes, I'd like to move items A1 through A8.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second?
Second from David. Any discussion, board members, on the administrative items?
Would you like to provide the update on A6, just the name, the change of our legal,
You want me to say that name, don't you?
the challenge?
Our legal team, which was formerly a boutique law firm, Cornell Merlino, has become affiliated with a new law firm called Methfessel and Werble. That's why you try saying Methfessel and Werble 3 times fast. The good news for us is that we will keep our same legal team. We will have Ms. Osborne with us. Some of you have met Jeff Merlino, who handles our negotiations, and also Athena Cornell, who will be the head of the school law team. So it gives our lawyers more access to resources. It gives us continued access to them at the same rate that we have been paying them. So aside from the difficulties of saying the name of the firm, for us, nothing will change right now. So just a bit of explanation. And now, the motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes?
Mr. Denard,
Yes.
Ms. Gottlieb,
Aye.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, David, would you move, or I'm sorry, Heather, would you move the curriculum item?
Either order.
Either order.
All right.
Curriculum is short.
I'll move C1.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Jocelyn. Any discussion on the curriculum items, which are trips? Okay, Barbara, would you call the roll on curriculum?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes?
Mr. Denard,
Yes.
Ms. Gottlieb,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, now personnel. David, it's your moment. Would you move the personnel items, rather?
I move P1 through P16.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jocelyn. In keeping with our rules and the board members' code of ethics, we do not discuss personnel items in public session. That being the case, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes?
Mr. Denard,
Yes.
Ms. Gottlieb,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Before we move on to the business items, I want to draw your attention to the items under B5, donations. We received a monetary donation for classroom furniture and a monetary donation for the 2025 field trip to Fountain Springs from the Ridgewood Avenue Home and School Association, a value of well over $8,000. We received a gift from the Ridgewood Avenue Home and School Association, collaborative problem-solving training, give thanks for all staff and students, teachers pay, teachers teams, gift cards, and solar eclipse glasses. Some of you remember the solar eclipse and those glasses. And thank you to the Ridgewood Avenue Home and School for that. And also from our friends at the Glen Education Foundation, a monetary donation for the virtual high school 50 contracted seats for the 2024-2025 school year, a value of over $8,200. And I have to say that the virtual high school is enormously attractive to our students. It offers them options, both AP options and regular course options that we cannot offer ourselves. And we owe it entirely to the Glen Education Foundation and the continuance of it to the foundation. So they help us be the district that we are. So special thanks to the foundation, in addition to thanks to the Ridgewood Home and School Association. And now, David, would you move the business items?
I move B1 through B11.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Heather. Any discussion, board members? Okay, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes?
Mr. Denard,
Yes.
Ms. Gottlieb,
Yes, abstaining from item B2.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we've come to the second public comment period for questions or comments on agenda items or any items pertaining to the running of the schools. The protocols are the same. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, that being the case, board members, if there's no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Moved by David, may I have a second? Second from Heather. Thank you for coming.